White House National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan says Iran nuke talks are continuing despite the protests spreading throughout Iran. Watch this.
Well, first, George, let me just say that the fact that we are in nuclear talks is in no way slowing us down from speaking out and acting on behalf of the people of Iran. We're not going to slow down 1 inch in our defense and advocacy for the rights of the women and citizens of Iran.
By the way, the riots and the near insurrection in Iran is getting really hot this Monday morning. Katie McFarland joins us. How can we negotiate with a government that's killing its own people? I understand that 5 parliamentarians have been killed.
Mm-hmm. You know, nobody can figure out this Obama administration, Biden administration love affair with Iran.
Yeah.
So in 2009, deja vu all over again, the Iranian people took to the streets, pro-democracy movement. So what does the Biden and Obama administration do? They side with the mullahs. They want this fake Iran nuclear deal. Well, they got the deal, which didn't stop Iran's nuclear program. So Trump comes in, pulls out of the deal. Iran was cheating anyway. So the Biden folks, same people, come back in and say, let's do this again. Let's renegotiate this flawed Iran nuclear deal. Meanwhile, as you point out, hundreds of thousands of people all over the country have taken to the streets to protest the regime. And instead of saying, look, we support democracy, we support reform, nope, what we're doing is we're supporting the mullahs in Iran yet again.
Yeah, there's not a word, to my knowledge, not a word from the White House in support of what the people in Iran are trying to do. Not a word.
There's not a word. And when Jake Sullivan gets up there and says, oh, well, we're supporting the human rights, come on, forget it. The demonstrations in Iran, amazingly, are because of a feminist issue, that women's rights have been denied for 20 years. And so if you're having Iranians of all political and caste, economic, social caste, all around the country protesting something that you wouldn't necessarily think Iran would protest against, you know those demonstrations are serious. Now, there's a much better idea that nobody in the Biden administration is going to do. And the better idea is have Elon Musk, like he did with Ukraine, put up the Starlink satellite link so that the people of Iran can communicate with each other. Because what the Iranian government has done, which is what they always do, is they shut down the internet.
Could that happen? I mean, if Musk put on his Starlink, the people of Iran could get open information? This could happen? It could work?
They could communicate with each other, which they can't now because they've just shut it down. Look, what happened in Ukraine when Elon Musk put the Starlink satellites over Ukraine, what happened was it allowed the Ukrainians early on in the war to talk to each other. It probably allowed them to gather a lot of intelligence about the Russian movements, and it may be one contributing factor to why the Ukrainian military did so well against the Russians.
Musk to the rescue again, please. Next one, Katie.
Again.
The White House says Putin's struggling badly, their words, but they won't designate Russia a state sponsor of terrorism. Does it make any difference if we did label them as terrorists?
At this point, not a whole lot, because we don't do a lot of business with Russia. But Putin, the point being that Putin is really getting quite desperate. So what does he have? He knows he's losing this. He knows he can't survive. He can't stay in power in Russia, probably can't even stay alive in Russia if he loses this war. So he's doubling down. That's why they're calling up all the reservists. It may make a difference. It'll make a difference in numbers, probably won't make a difference in capability because they're not going to be trained. But the other thing he has this winter is blackmail, energy blackmail. He'll cut off the energy supplies to Europe, especially to Germany. And that doesn't just mean they have to be cold in the winter in their homes. It means they really can't power their factories. But the other thing, which has everybody really paying a lot of attention, is Putin is threatening using nuclear weapons. Now, is he going to use nuclear weapons? Probably not. But it's not the odds I'm concerned with, it's the stakes. And the Russians have a lot of short-range, low-yield, tactical nuclear weapons, which we don't have them. We got rid of them a long time ago. Ours were called Davy Crockett. Everyone would have a Davy Crockett hand grenade, nuclear hand grenade in his pocket. Well, the Russians still have those weapons. And would they use them? Could they use them? Probably not. But again, what are the stakes here? And how desperate will Putin get?
Well, he's desperate now. Katie McFarland, thank you very much. I'm sure we'll see you again soon. All right.